Hi there. I'd like to talk today about meaning. Not meaning in the sense of, oh, what does it all mean? Which is an interesting sense of meaning for sure. But I want to talk about meaning in a much more straightforward way. What is meaning? Can we make sense of it structurally? What is categorization and what is association? And how does it relate to meaning? So let's start to address these issues. What is meaning? Meaning, I think we can look at in a very simple way as an association. An association that between two qualia forms that bear no necessary relation to each other, but which are nonetheless linked together conceptually, such that one always comes to mean the other, or be completely associated with the other. Let me give a very simple example. If I see the color blue as a baby, the blueness of the blue is pure qualia. It cannot be reduced to anything else. It doesn't really have a name. I have given it a name, but it's just the color blue. It's this color right here. Color blue. At some point, I learned to associate that color, that experience, I should say, that qualia experience with as I'm stealing here from Terence McKenna, with an acoustical signifier that it has no logical relation to. This is meaning. It is the association of in terms of speech, for example, we're talking about speech now, an acoustical signifier with an object of which there is no direct logical relation, but the logical relation is simply assigned. And therefore, by the assignation, what's interesting is not only does then the word pick out the blueness, but blueness becomes carved into a category, the thingness of blueness is somehow directly related to our ability to associate it with a word that is blue. The word blue, the sound blue, or the word B-L-U-E. This is the most fundamental way, because blueness is such a fundamental quality that it does probably exist for animals. You know, animals probably do experience some kind of color perception, even though they don't have the language to make the meaning association. But for higher level objects, these things are after the initial shape and qualia aspect of experience. So a blue square, for instance, is a pretty basic concept. Once you get to things like forms, objects in the world, these things are complex associations based on lower level meaning associations that have already been acquired versus via concepts like blue, yellow, red, round, square, triangle. These basic concepts then can form higher level concepts where the associations are more complex, so that you learn that an animal with 4 legs that barks and looks a certain way is a dog, and an animal with 4 legs that meows, that looks a certain way, is a cat. And you associate the word cat and the word dog. And the world becomes carved into these objects through the linguistic association. Whereas to an animal, I mean, we can only speculate. Animal consciousness is very weird. But we can suspect that an animal simply experiences a buzzing confusion of forms and colors and desires, without the linguistic chisel to carve reality into the shapes of meaning that are the apparatus of our experience. Once the association is made, associating a word either in terms of the sound of a word or the look of a word, the letters, with an objective concept out in the world, that creates a platform upon which then higher level associations can be made based on what you know about that and how it relates to more fundamental concepts deeper down in the meaning tree. Okay? So, meaning is basically an association. It's an association between something in the world that is ultimately irreducible, a form, and ultimately, at the deepest level, the forms of basic qualia, and certain sounds and certain words. And that is meaning. And once you have the base, then you can do a higher level and a higher level. For example, once you learn blue and yellow and red, and you have the associations and the association is made, the meaning is determined at that point, then you can extract from that, and this is a natural process of human consciousness, you can extract from that a deeper association saying the thing that the word blue and yellow and red all have in common is a concept of color. And then you associate the word color as a sound that doesn't mean anything. It just means color because we have associated that sound and that word with a certain concept which has presented itself to us based on our lower level concepts of blue, red, and yellow. We are, in a sense, through the assignation of words, sounds to the form, words and sounds to the forms that we experience, we create a complex hierarchy of meaning that is actually part of our basic consciousness. The world we experience as humans is a human world. It is a syntactical world that we walk through, loaded with meaning that our subconscious minds are already processing. We don't have to think blue when we see blue, or further, a more complex concept like cat or dog. We don't have to think cat, we don't have to think dog. The concept has been syntactically embedded in our subconscious processes, and we just see a dog or see a cat. But what's connected to it is the fundamental association that at one point was assigned, cat and dog, and that picked out a concept. It picked out something in the world outside you, which was then delineated because we had this power to associate that animals don't have. This is so important. This is what meaning is. Meaning is hierarchical, and meaning is assigned. We don't remember most of the meanings that we assign because they're just the language development. It's a miracle of human consciousness. Children just start to hear what other people are saying around them and then learn to associate. And then the associations can build higher and higher structures. Literally, if we could see it in our heads, it would actually look like a structure. It would look like the associations are always lateral, and then the categorizations are always vertical or horizontal. Right? Because categorization organizes things into hierarchies, and associations are lateral. They organize things within planes of a hierarchy. Red, blue, yellow, at the higher level, color. Right? This ability to do this is ultimately what leads the human mind to the place where it can start to comprehend concepts of a truly objective, abstract sort. Like God, he's abstract, but he's so determinate and real, he's abstract. It's like the abstraction actually becomes non-abstract. I mean, that's why God's the ultimate. At the top of the hierarchy, both in reality and in our conceptual mind, is God. It is the top of the hierarchy. As meaning, as a meaningful idea. As an association that we make with our mouths. The word God, what does that pick out? What does that associate in our conceptual understanding of reality? The assignment of a signifier to something else. That is meaning. And then the extraction of that concept so that the association can then be categorized at a higher level. That is categorization. And creates more meaning because it informs what's going on at the lower levels. Once you know that red and blue and green are all concepts called colors, that association, which is vertical cannot be gotten rid of either. Now, this might sound mundane or obvious, but what I'm wanting to suggest, because the world is somewhat idealist, it's just code, this is literally the structure of reality. And that through our linguistic ability, we do have, again, I'm borrowing from Terence McKenna, the thumbprint of the divine. Because association and categorization are the essences of understanding itself, of conceptual understanding, self-consciousness, self-awareness. What's one fundamental concept that we can play this game with that is the essence of self-consciousness? It is the association of a sound or a symbol with the concept of I, which picks out something truly fundamental in the same way that blue is truly fundamental and outside you, and yellow is truly fundamental and outside you, but it picks out something both outside you and yet radically intimate. I. And it's no coincidence that I looks like the number 1. The concepts of one and I are intrinsically connected. One. I am one. I, one. Same symbol. We learn to make a fundamental association with the self through the concept of the external sound and look of the symbol I, or one. In that sense, the I is created in meaning, but necessarily so because it does pick out something, in a sense, outside you, but that is you. The inside that is the outside, the I. The thing which sees the red and the blue and the yellow, and the thing which categorizes, and the thing which are... That's what meaning is. So meaning, the point I'm wanting to stress here is that meaning is about associations between things that aren't necessarily related, that are always somehow necessarily associated through some kind of qualia. There's no having a meaning without being able to express it in some way, in terms of a symbol or a sound or something that's actually tangibly a qualia structure, even as the qualia structures pick out more and more abstract things. And eventually you get to a concept like negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, the quadratic equation. And what does that pick out? It picks out a truly abstract thing, but it still requires us to associate something that is really abstract with nonetheless concrete qualia forms. You know? What does it all mean? It means what you associate it with.